Okay, so one of the early things you might want to do after you've taken your color image is go and do something with it. So when you take your image with the telescope, you can see it at the front page, like on the actual site. You can see that it's been taken. Now, not immediately, but after that, it goes through a series of processing steps uh, that cleans it up, measures all the brightnesses of all the stars in the image, removes any kind of background kind of issues. So if you're looking near the moon, one side of the camera might be brighter than the other, and it's just the background, and you can remove that. So there's a long story about what happens there that we can go into at a different stage. Um, but we just want to have a look and see what we can do when the color image gets back. You should get an email when it's been processed, and not directly straight away, but in the next 5-10 minutes after you get that email, you should have some images on the site. So I know there's a good image recently that was observed. An M20 is quite a nice object to look at. So I'm just going to search for that. And there's a thing here if you just want to see the results with the color images available, just press search. On top here is a bunch of tools we'll go into at some other stage. But here we'll look down here and we'll see some M20s. So there's, oh, and something else as well. Oh, some stuff around M20. Okay, cool. There's 5 of these images, but you can notice these are all the same. At some stage we might organize this a little differently. But if you look here, the filter, this RGGB-G2, RGGB means it's from a one-shot color camera, which collects all the light at the same time. And this is the G2 part, which is the second green pixel. B1 is the first blue pixel. G1 is the first green pixel. And R1 is the red pixel. And then there's a clear V where we just add them all together. That comes in handy later on for measuring stars. But we're interested in the color stuff. So here we've got the images. On the left you have the how it looks just in that color. So in G2, this is how it looks in that color. If you kind of squint or kind of have a click on it and have a look, they will all look a little bit different. So if I look here, there's in this patch here, there's darker stuff than there seems to be here. And clearly in the red, this bit will be very bright. See, that's red there. So that bit's really bright. And this other stuff down here will be really bright in the blue. So if we go over to the blue one, then this blue stuff is brighter. So you see each individual image kind of contributes to this last image. And the last image looks spectacular at all of them combined. What's happened here, you can see actually the background has been removed from each of the images. If you look here, it's a bit brighter down in the corner than it is up the top. It's bright up the top here, that's because there's a nebula there. But if you look at this corner down here, it's brighter than up here, where it's darker. So the moon was probably in that direction and casting some light in. So that's been removed from the image. But you can see that's where they came from. There's a whole assortment of buttons here. It could be very confusing. But the first thing we just want to interact with the color image is you can click on it and have a look at it. Quite nice. Then we have steps up. We have anything with a little C preview. If we click this, it will load a higher res version, and we can zoom in. You can actually save this image if you right click and save as. So that's a little bit higher res. CPNG, that is entirely as high res as you can get of this image. So that is lossless compression. It means that we don't make the image smaller at all, and it's at the full resolution that the camera kind of took the image at. So you can see it's taken a long time to load, as you'll find, because it's quite big. But it is the entire full high-res version, not compressed, nothing done to it, other than making the image. So if you want that, that's there. And you can zoom in and out. It won't look immediately different than the preview image to the untrained eye, but it is the higher resolution one. So The other thing we have, I'm going to press it, and it's going to take a while to download, so I'll move on to something else. CPSD. So a PSD is a Photoshop file. Now, some of you may have Photoshop, some of you might have it from school. Some of you may not, but there's another program called GIMP which opens Photoshop files, and it's free. I'll put a link to it. This will give you, this is if you're going to make a really amazing color image, not entirely from scratch, but starting from essentially what came out of the camera with the background subtraction and corrections made. This is what you'll use. I'm going to click this, and I realize behind my head, can I move my head? There we go. Yes. I can move my head in space and time. You can see here it's downloading. Now the Photoshop file is very large, so I'm just going to leave that there, and it's just going to download while we do stuff. It is like half a gig, so it'll take a while. I'll show you why that's useful by the end of this video. The other buttons we have here are some editor things. So you can look at it here. It's all well and good. Looks nice. But what if you want to take it to a printer and print it out and stick it on your wall? I'd probably use the PNG and download that. But what if you didn't want to use Photoshop and spend hours playing around with it, but you did want to kind of adjust it. So this is what we have. We have preview, the preview tool. So I'm going to click this, and it'll open up another app in another window. It'll circle around for a little bit because it's pulling in a relatively high res, not as high res as the PNG or the Photoshop, into this tool. So this doesn't have a lot of tools, but it allows you to rotate your image. There's buttons. You flip it left and right and up and down. So this is where you might be going, I like it, but I just want to adjust it a little bit before I send it to my friend or put it on Facebook or print it out as a sticker and put it on my schoolbook on the front of my laptop. And I just want to play around with it. Look, I made an entire mess of it. It's totally possible to make a mess of an image. There we go. Wow. Perfect. It's an alien purple being from outer space. And its filters, you can draw on it, you can annotate it, you can make it bigger and small. So this is the tool that you use if you're trying to just adjust it for what you want it to look like a bit better than what it's just provided to you as. And you can save it, and this will save to your computer. JPEG is usually the best. Anyway, I'll let you figure that out. So that's the preview tool. Yes, I want to leave that. So we have preview. So that loads pretty quick, and you can do stuff pretty quick in it. Now here again, the PNG is the high-res lossless version. So this is the highest quality version of that image, the final image. And it will take a little while to open in this app because the app opens in your web browser, and then the image jumps into it. So it's actually behind the scenes. There's no useful circle at this stage. It is kind of uploading into your browser. So I'm just going to pause it so you don't have to wait. Okay, so that was about 15-20 seconds. But here it looks very similar, right? Except now you have more tools. And this is the high-res lossless compression image. So it has more tools. You can draw on it, do all sorts of stuff. I'll let you play around. But it has, aside from just rotating, it has all of these effects: denoising, edging, embossing, heat map. Same thing though. You can use the tool to adjust your image. So take the color out of it, put more color in. That's what Vibrance does. I've never pressed the emboss button before, so I'm not even sure what's going to happen. Nothing much. Oh yeah. I don't know what that does. You're just going to have fun and have a look through. Vignette should make the corner. Oh yeah. Make the corners darker. But anyway, you can see here This is a more advanced set of tools that you can use to play around with your image. It will mirror quite a lot of stuff that's in Photoshop. Most of the things will have familiar names if you're used to Photoshop. These ones here are the kind of standard ones you'd use: brightness, contrast, rotate, etc. So that is that there, and again you can file, save as, export to a different file, etc. Okay, so that's the next level up. When you're not just making a pretty preview image to send someone, but you're actually going to play around with your image. Okay, and so while we're talking about that, if you look behind my head here, my download button has told me it's finished, and there is a gigantic Photoshop file here, which is behind my head again. But I'm going to click it, and it should open up in Photoshop. So here's my Photoshop. If you don't have Photoshop and you want something that does Photoshop files, it's called GIMP. Yes. GNU Image Manipulation Program. You download it and install it just like any other program on your computer. And it's like Photoshop, but the buttons are on a different spot. That's essentially the only difference. But here we have the it open in Photoshop here, and see it's not in color anymore. Now we'll have instructions and how to add color in. But you see down here we have all of the different colors arranged in different layers. So instead of having the final color image for you already made, the Photoshop file puts all the files together for you, ready for you to make the image yourself and make decisions about colors, levels, brightnesses, etc. from the stage of actually making the image, putting color into it, denoising it, doing all that sort of fun stuff. So that's the use of the Photoshop file, which if you're going to put a lot of effort into an image, recommended to start from Photoshop. So basically I could do a really quick image. So in Photoshop, there's an infinity of things to do in Photoshop, let me tell you. But the simplest version, just to make the color image, is just trust me on a few of these things because they'll be in the instructions. Basically, I've turned off the... Why did I turn off the blue? I've turned off the clear V, and this top one here, it says layer 5 is meant to say green too. But basically in Photoshop you can add the color to each of the layers. So astronomy camera doesn't actually see in color. It actually just sees in black and white. It just counts how many bits of light it found when it was looking at a certain spot. So it's actually a bit of a fakery, a bit of an illusion that some images come back as color, but it just means that they've been automatically processed in this way that I'm doing manually before you see it. So that's true of those color images that come straight up onto the archive. So this is the very basics. Whoops, the very basics of how you add color back in it on Photoshop. And you'll see it doesn't immediately pop out as that spectacular looking thing that is your preview image. You get it to a certain point, and I mean, it looks, to some degree, to my eyes, it looks better than the image out the front. I mean, it looks crisper to my eyes, but you can also already see the colors aren't as vibrant as we saw out the front. So we might want to make them a bit more vibrant. I'm certainly not going down into the depths of everything you can do in Photoshop, but I'm showing you some of the things you can do. So if we turn saturation up a bit, vibrance, let's see what happens when we put them to 50. This is the point. This is where the fun happens. It's like, how do I make this image look as good as I want it to? What can I do? This is, yes, where you have some fun. Anyway, so I don't want this video all about me having fun making an image, because there is instructions to guide you on making your image. flatten it down a bit. And then we can do some of this. I just want to fast forward if you like. To show you some of the power of Photoshop here. And then, yeah, get that about right. See the dark grounds. The background is a bit darker than the other image and looks a bit cooler. But anyway, you get the gist. This is the beginnings of your journey into astrophotography. You can see I've made this thing, and it looks quite fundamentally different than the image out there. It's still from the same data, but I've made certain very quick, rough decisions about what I would like to make pop out of the image that is different than what the automated image was. So that's what the Photoshop file is for. That's where you go in and you really, really make your own image, as in direct your image. Make aesthetic judgments, make artistic judgments about how you want to look at it. That is probably all the information you might want to know about these color buttons. The other buttons we'll explain elsewhere. But basically, you can have a look at the mono image in the same tools as well. But they're less exciting. But still, they're there. Sometimes, half of the cameras are just black and white. There is no just direct color. So a lot of images are actually just like this. So yeah. So that is how you access your color image and get started on your astrophotography adventure from the archive page.